All right, guys, I'm trying something new. We're going to dive into NASCAR, see how it goes. I'm going to do my power rankings this week. So let's get into it. 36 through 34. Cody Ware, Riley Herbst stay the same. These guys have been finishing kind of back of the pack. Obviously, you can see why. Cody Ware had a decent running from what he's had in the past few weeks. Ty Dillon drops from 31 to 34. 33rd in the point standings. Needs a win pretty much to get in. But two races in a row, ending in disappointment. He needs to turn it around this week. 31 through 33, Justin Haley moves up 3 spots as the other two, Cole Custer, Noah Gragson, stay the same. Haley had a great finish, top 20, first top 20 since Texas, so he's deserving to move up there. Cole Custer had a few most laps, I guess you could say, in the top 10 and even top five, qualified in the top five, but just sort of kind of started to fall back. And just that's how it happened late. Noah Gregson, just something not negative for once is the positive for him out of Pocono. 28 through 30. Austin Dillon moves up one, McDowell down three, and Gillen stayed the same at 30. He had some crash damage, but finished 28th Gillen, but that's all right. It's okay. He didn't get knocked out of the race. McDowell, unfortunately, had a very bad race. Brake issues cost him points, and obviously the momentum he gained from Mexico City and falling to 35th, knocks you way down the standings in the points. Austin Dillon, he's still starting to put together a few better races, but he needs to pick it up quick if this team has any hope at possibly getting into the playoffs. 25 through 27. Stenhouse falls, Hunter Nemechek moves up, and Suarez stays the same. Especially Hunter Nemechek, if he has one more great race like this, he might be in my top 20 at this point next week. Suarez is still kind of floating around the middle of the pack, but he's got to win to get in. Pretty much all these guys got to win to get in at this point. And Stenhouse, ever since him and Hocevar started their little beef, he's just plummeted down the standings all the way to 25th because I think at that point he was in the playoffs, and since then he has just had some really bad races in the last month. 22 through 24. You get Bowman moving up three. I'm a little harsh on him just because of the very slow start he's had, but you can see finished outside the top 10 for the fifth time in the last 7 races. And, 2 for 7 isn't good in NASCAR. You got to at least be 4 for 7, if not half, if you want to, possibly get into the playoffs. And, I get right now he's 16th into the playoffs, but there's some guys knocking at the door like Hocevar. He was just there a few weeks ago, and now he fell back to 21st after a few unexciting races for him. But possibly the save of the year out of turn three, slid, but barely nicked the wall and kept on going. And he was really good in restarts. I don't know if you saw it. There was one restart. I think he went from like 23rd to 8th or something, but just his car wasn't fast enough. And just slowly, people just kept passing, and that's why I ended up in 18th. Then Zane Smith stays the same at 24. Didn't have too much speed, but with a super speedway coming up, this is his chance to really make a good push for a win. 19 through 21. Brad Keselowski, he joins the top 20 after a ninth place finish at Pocono. The only thing that was negative for him, the pit road situation, went down when it was closed. That cost him a huge penalty, obviously, and then he just couldn't get it going after that because at that point he was winning. And unfortunately, it's just how the cookie crumbles. He didn't get to win, but you can tell he's there starting to build that momentum he's just got to put it all together during one race if they want to win. Allmendinger, Gibbs, just kind of ho-hum, just coasting along. Not bad, but not really good finishes. 16 through 18, we get our first two winners here on the list, and Josh Berry and Shane Van Gisbergen. Gisbergen obviously won in Mexico City, no momentum now as he was involved in a multi-car incident at Pocono, so he's looking to build back some momentum. Josh Berry, another almost top 10 for him as he finishes 12th, but he's still moving up the standings. He's ninth in the playoff standings. He's doing all right, but I wouldn't expect him to, be outside the top 10 for much longer. Then Kyle Busch, what he's doing this year, just unfortunately, it's not Kyle Busch, but could we get rowdy this weekend in Atlanta? He's very good at this track, and who knows? We shall see. He really hasn't put together a complete race yet, like a lot of these other guys have. But his complete race is him winning. 13 through 15, we get another winner in Austin Cindric moving from 19th to 15th after a 10th place finish. And you can tell he's kind of maybe trying a few new things, especially in Mexico City with the tire situation. But this week, I think he could possibly win this weekend. It's a good track for him. He's won Talladega, obviously. Super Speedway this weekend could be his track. Ryan Preece moves up two after an eighth place finish. And at this point, he's putting together solid performance week after week, looking like he will be in the playoffs if he can keep this up. Then Eric Jones, kind of the same situation as Ryan Preece, but just not as good of finishes as Preece has been getting these last few weeks. But I could see him sneaking in the playoffs, only 62 points down, a few stage wins here and there, then this guy might be in the playoffs. 10 through 12, Ross Chastain falls from 8 to 10. Reddick stays the same, and Bubba Wallace falls out of the top 10. Brake failure for Bubba, and his day was over early. Obviously, 36th takes you out of the top 10. Tyler Reddick didn't do much better, drops him to 7th in the point standings, but 13th in the playoff standings after his 32nd place finish. And Ross Chastain finished 26th with early damage and just didn't get it going here at Pocono, but he has had a pair of runner-ups in Atlanta in 2022, so he's a name to watch out for this weekend. 7 through 9, you get Chase Elliott staying the same at 7. You can see there, hasn't finished outside the top 20 this year. Ninth top 10 this year. And can he win again in Atlanta? He won in 22, holding off Chastain. And I think he's probably the best driver we have right now that hasn't won a race. It's probably easy to say at this point. Now with Chase Briscoe winning and Briscoe winning with Joe Gibbs racing for the first time. He led 72 laps, obviously holding off Denny Hamlin, but can he make it two in a row this week in Atlanta? Joey Logano finished 16th, didn't do too much, wasn't pretty, but it wasn't awful. And he did lead a handful of laps here during pit cycles, but outside of that, just middle of the pack finish. But he could make some noise this week in Atlanta. I think there's a lot of guys that have one win or haven't won yet that could be a threat to win Atlanta. And I wouldn't be shocked if we get a few new winners here in the next coming weeks with $1 million on the line. 4 through 6, you have William Byron dropping from 1 to 4 after a 27th place finish. And you can see there, two Atlanta wins already. Can he make it to third? This guy is great at this track, and I expect him to be running in the top 10 all day. Ryan Blaney, I think, could be the same thing, top 10 all day. Third last week, he's knocking at the door yet again for another win. And then Chris Buescher, no win yet, but this guy just keeps on putting together solid performances. 4 finishes of 30 or worse at Atlanta, though. I think if you look at that, that is not too much to write home about. And if he can maybe get, I guess top 20 would be a win for him this week. But the way he's been racing this car here the last few weeks, I expect another top 10. Then 1 through 3, I don't think this is any surprise for anyone. Denny, yet again, almost won for the 8th time at Pocono, led 32 laps, won stage one, number one seed in the in-season challenge, 3 wins all year. And who knows? I expect Hamlin to get at least one, if not two more wins before the playoff starts. Larson, I expect kind of the same to be running in the top 5. And it seems like he's, not having a dominant year. I mean, 3 wins is pretty good, but there's been some races where he just isn't there. Um, but this one he was top 10, 7th, 12th top 10 in the season. He's led multiple laps in Atlanta there in 3 of the last 4 races. And who knows, maybe this is his time to get another win this year. Same for Christopher Bell. He already won in Atlanta this year. Can he make it 2 and win both this year in Atlanta? He would need it because, he had those 3 races in a row he won. Then he's kind of just been there around the top 10 these last few weeks. But we're going to see how that goes in Atlanta this weekend, Saturday night. That's going to be it for my power rankings. Also, check out my video of the in-season bracket for NASCAR. I'm going to be picking all the drivers and explaining why I'm picking them. Until next time, Bench Buddies are out.